Some clubs come into a season full of promise, full of belief, full of expectation, and then somewhere along the way it all falls apart completely. The results dry up, the performances become painful to watch, the dressing room fractures, and what you are left with is a club that does not just need a transfer window or a new signing to fix things, it needs a complete and total reset from the inside out. Today, we are looking at 7 clubs that find themselves in exactly that position right now. These are the 7 teams in need of a huge reset. We are starting with the most shocking story in English football this season, and it is not even close: Tottenham Hotspur. Where do you even begin? This is the same club that won the Europa League just last season, the same club that came into this campaign having qualified for the Champions League and full of confidence. And right now, Spurs are sitting 17th in the Premier League table, scrapping and scrambling just to avoid relegation. It is genuinely hard to believe. They pushed into the relegation zone for the first time since January 2009 back in April, and since then it has been one disaster after another. Thomas Frank came in as manager and lasted just over 3 months. Then Igor Tudor was brought in and lasted 44 days before Roberto De Zerbi took over. 3 managers in one season. The home record has been an embarrassment, with just 2 wins at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium all campaign long. The defence has been wide open, conceding at a rate of 1.61 goals per game. For a club of Spurs' size and history, this is not just a bad season, it is a complete and utter collapse. A full reset from top to bottom is the only answer. And if Spurs are the most shocking story in England right now, the next club on this list is the most frustrating. Chelsea. Billions spent, stars signed, manager after manager brought through the door. And right now, Chelsea sit 9th in the Premier League table, fresh off a 3-1 home defeat to Nottingham Forest that made it 5 straight league losses, 5 in a row, at home. It follows a 3-0 thrashing by Brighton that summed up everything wrong at Stamford Bridge right now. Even with João Pedro stepping up and contributing 15 goals this season, and the latest draw against Liverpool, there is no identity in how this team plays. No consistent shape, no soul. The club was dumped out of the Champions League by PSG on a brutal 7-3 aggregate scoreline, and that result told you everything you needed to know. The recruitment model promised a bright future built on young talent, but the squad is bloated and demoralised, filled with players who do not seem to know what they are supposed to be doing. Chelsea do not need another signing. They need a clear out, a clear idea, and a leader with a real vision to make it all make sense again. The chaos at Stamford Bridge is real, but the next club on this list, their chaos just became very public and very ugly. Let us talk about Real Madrid, still one of the biggest clubs in the world, still a powerhouse on paper. But right now, the cracks at the Bernabeu are not just visible, they are enormous. Just a few days ago on May 7th, the club confirmed they had opened disciplinary proceedings against Federico Valverde and Aurelien Tchouameni following a physical altercation in training, with Valverde ending up in hospital diagnosed with cranioencephalic trauma. The two have since been fined €500,000 each. Valverde will miss the Clásico. That is the state of the Real Madrid dressing room right now, and it does not come out of nowhere. There is a petition with over 30 million signatures calling for the club to sell Kylian Mbappe. The fans are at breaking point, the players are fighting each other. On the pitch, they have been knocked out of the Champions League by Bayern Munich and are staring down the barrel of a second consecutive season without a major trophy. Valverde himself admitted his anger and frustration at a trophyless campaign. When your own players are saying that publicly, the culture has broken down completely. A serious reset is needed at Real Madrid, and it needs to happen fast. But from a club falling apart off the pitch, we move to one that is quietly fading on it. Stade Brestois, known as Brest. Cast your mind back to last season and what this club represented. A genuine miracle story. A small club from the coast of Brittany competing in the Champions League for the very first time in their history and doing it with real style and belief. It captured the imagination of football fans all over the world. But what goes up must come down, and Brest have come crashing back down very hard this season. They currently sit 12th in League One, well adrift of any European ambitions. Last week, they were humiliated 4-0 by Paris FC, and that result was not a one-off. They have gone 9 straight matches without a win, and the fatigue of last season's European adventure has completely drained whatever was left in this squad. They are conceding 1.65 goals per game and heading into their final game of the season tomorrow against PSG with nothing to play for except pride. The miracle has run its course. Brest need to go back to the drawing board this summer, rebuild the squad properly, and prepare for what sustained life in the top flight of French football actually demands. It is not glamorous work, but if they do not reset properly now, they risk sliding even further down the table. Speaking of clubs that need to rethink everything, the next one on this list will really surprise you. Juventus, the old lady, the most decorated club in Italian football history, currently sitting 4th in Serie A, with Inter Milan already confirmed as champions a massive 17 points above them. 4th place, for most clubs that would be cause for celebration. For Juventus, it is evidence of just how far they have fallen. This is a club that won 9 consecutive league titles, a club that was routinely in Champions League finals and competing with the very best in Europe. And right now, they are drawing games they should be winning and struggling to impose themselves on anyone who pushes back. They drew 1-1 with Hellas Verona last weekend. They cannot find the clinical edge to challenge the very best in Italy. The squad has talent, but the system feels reactive and uninspired. The winning mentality that used to make Juventus so feared feels completely absent. Coming into the final match day, they are still fighting just to confirm a Champions League spot for next year. That should not be a conversation Juventus fans are having in May. A proper reset is not optional, it is long overdue. And just like Juventus, the next club on this list keeps ending up as the nearly men. Borussia Dortmund beats Eintracht Frankfurt 3-2 at Signal Iduna Park to confirm second place in the Bundesliga. On the surface, that sounds fine, but dig into how that game actually went and you see the exact same problems that have plagued BVB all season long. Frankfurt scored in the 78th second, not the 78th minute, the 78th second. Dortmund were caught completely cold before the game had even started. They eventually turned it around through Guirassy, Schlotterbeck and Samuele Inacio, but Frankfurt came back to 3-2 in the 87th minute and almost salvaged a draw in the 88th. Even in a game they absolutely needed to win to secure second place, Dortmund nearly threw it away. That is the story of their entire season. Talented enough to win, mentally fragile enough to make every single match harder than it needs to be. They have conceded 34 league goals this season. Serhou Guirassy has been brilliant. Joe Bellingham has shown real quality, but this club keeps being defined by what it cannot quite achieve. Second in the Bundesliga sounds decent until you remember Bayern have won the title again, and Dortmund are left wondering what could have been. The reset they need is a mental and structural one. And our final club, their reset is being demanded by the fans who love them most, Liverpool, defending Premier League champions, the team everyone feared coming into this season, currently sitting 5th in the table in a genuine fight just to qualify for the Champions League next year. 11 losses in the Premier League this campaign. After years of Anfield being one of the most intimidating venues in world football, that invincibility has faded. The losses of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Luis Diaz in the summer have hit harder than anyone at the club wanted to publicly admit. Alexander-Arnold's leadership and creativity have not been replaced. Diaz has gone on to thrive at Bayern Munich, while Liverpool have been short of genuine options on the left. The high-intensity pressing game that made Klopp's Liverpool so unstoppable has not fully carried over into the Arne Slot era. The squad sits in that uncomfortable middle ground, too stretched to play heavy metal football, not yet integrated enough to begin a brand new dominant era. With a huge summer ahead and a World Cup around the corner, the decisions Liverpool make over the next few months will define the next 3 or 4 years of this football club. The reset is not a question of if, it is a question of how bold they are truly willing to be. Football is absolutely relentless. It does not wait for any club to find its feet. These 7 teams all have the history, the fan base and the resources to turn things around. But as we have seen this season, none of that guarantees anything on its own. Which of these clubs do you think needs the most urgent reset? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video from us. Catch you in the next one. Bye.